What's going on, everybody? I'm Keith, host of Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas, where 4 to 5 of my brothers give their perspective on national as well as local news. We touch on some trending hot topics as well as culturally relevant news. We also get a chance to dive into some deep core conversations. Check us out live every other Monday at 7 p.m. You can find us on Just Our Thoughts on YouTube live, as well as Just Our Thoughts fan page on Facebook. Also, please don't forget to follow us on IG, JOT with the Fellas. What up? What up? What up, fellas?
And we are back.
What's up,
back.
man? What's the deal, man?
What's the deal?
It's been a minute. It feels
It's been a minute.
Yes, sir.
Shakur, what's good?
What's going on? I'm here.
Hey.
What's up, fellas? Welcome back, man. Hey, what shows have y'all been watching for since we've been off, man? Since season 1 ended, what's some of the shows y'all been checking out, man?
Well, for me, it was like, I was kind of like doing that school thing since I was working at the school.
Mm-hmm.
I was rushing, get home from work, school, and to watch A Different World. You got to catch that joint. Come on from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock.
On what channel?
On TV One, man. That was out every day.
Really?
Every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Classics, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, for me, man, I gotta be honest with you, man. It's been a lot of depressing news that's been on, man. So I would say prior to yesterday, man, I was watching just some NFL preseason games, the highlights, just to kind of get a feel of what these teams are going to be looking like, for the season. Other than that, man, I found myself, now check this out. There is a sitcom, man, that has been around for about 15 years or more. And I didn't watch it when it was out, but I started watching it about a month ago. And that's Damon Wayans and Tisha Campbell, my wife
and kids. Yeah, that was funny.
Yo, Damon Wayans, that dude is a nut.
Yeah.
Yo, he's funny, man. And Tisha Campbell, man, she always accents her role, man.
Yeah.
In anything that she plays, even back when she was doing that Martin piece.
Yeah.
And I always thought that she was a nice actress back during that School Days era when she played Jane Toussaint. Remember that? School Days?
Right.
Man, she licked his part.
Hey, so what's some of y'all? What's y'all top 3 though? What would you think y'all top 3 sitcoms of all time would be?
Well, my top, of course, probably would have to be Sanford and Son. I can watch that till the cows come home.
Mm-hmm.
Because his sarcasm is just, it's matched. I match his sarcasm. I feel like, And then it's like, then my other is like Good Times, man. I really love Good Times because they touched on a lot of topics back then that are still very relevant now. You know, and it's like and it's crazy. I'll sit there and watch it. I'll be like, yep, that's going on right now. That's very relatable. And then I got a different world because it was something that brought a brand new light on Black life, and especially college life, because it really shined a light on something positive that a lot of us were especially at that moment, could really relate to and strive for. And it catapulted enrollment in HBCUs at the time and even college at the time. That's like that. Those are my top 3. But there is another one I will watch, and I do find a lot funnier now than I did when we were younger. It's Jeffersons, man. The Jeffersons. I sit there and watch that. George, and even Wheezy, man. They complimented each other, and it was just all day, all night. I could just sit there and watch those 4 shows.
I watch The Cosby's is maybe my favorite of all time. It just covers so much, man. The Cosby's, and I'm glad it's back on, so I can check the Cosby's out. I love me some Cosby's, man. You know, one of my favorite shows was when Vanessa came home with Dabness and Cliff, you know, he talked to Vanessa about how she presented Dabness with the trash can.
Yeah, the trash can lid, yo.
Yo, that's one of my favorite shows, man. And another one was when Theo,
the Gory Gartrell.
No, not the Gory Gartrell, but
no?
used the Monopoly money with
the first season. The first show, actually.
With Theo. That was the first one?
That was the very first show.
Oh, man, that was one of my favorites right there, man. When he said, are you going to have a girlfriend? He said, yeah. He took all his money. I got through. And Martin.
Yeah.
Hands down, one of the best, man.
Yeah. That's hands down. For me, man, I think I want to start off with Good Times, man. Good Times was always one of my favorites, man. It just felt like, you know, I could like relate, man, you know, to like that struggle, man, that they've been going through. And I was so happy, man. They used to mention it was filmed in Chicago, but they lived on Lakeshore Drive. They always mentioned it sometimes.
Well, no, they didn't live on Lakeshore Drive.
Well, what was it? What was it about Lakeshore Drive?
That was the good part of town.
Oh, the good part of town.
The good part of town was Lakeshore Drive.
Well, anyway, they mentioned my street.
Yes, so they always did. Yeah. Oh man, you lived on a good part of town, eh?
You lived on a good part of town.
So I would say that, and a couple of the other ones, man, that you mentioned, man, the Jeffersons, man, and Sanford and Son, of course, you know, Fred, man, you know, when he would go after Lamont and call him, "You big dummy."
TV stupid.
Yeah. Hey, honorable mention. And it doesn't get a lot of attention anymore, man. I like Different Strokes, man.
Different Strokes.
Yeah, I like to see when Janet Jackson, man, when she would make a special guest appearance as Charlene. You remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Bridges ain't know how good he had it back then.
Right.
I think he did. I guess for me, y'all said two of the ones that really set kind of resonated with me was Different World. You know, I'm a college dude. You know, it opened my eyes to that whole college life and the development of long-term relationships with people from college. You know, that was the thing that I saw from Different World, how even when they graduated, you know, Dwayne and Ron and Whitley and Jaleesa, they all maintained a relationship with each other even after graduation, you know, and college is where you develop some of your long-lasting relationships. Me and EB, we went to the same college, but we still share a lot of friends that we met in college to this day that we still are connected strongly with. I gotta EB, we gotta check out the Mass Melanin Market up in Glassboro because Wawa has linked up with your boy Quincy Lewis by land and by sea. We'll talk about that later, man. But Quincy is another one from college that we, you know, have been friends with, you know, because of the development of long-lasting relationships from college. So I just love that. And I was going back and forth with Tamika Chester on Facebook about the wedding scene where Dwayne interrupted the Byron and Whitley's wedding. That was probably one of the dopest moments on that show.
That.
I agree.
The other one for me would be the Jeffersons, like y'all said. My thing with the Jeffersons was, you know, just the success that George and Wheezy had, the entrepreneurial spirit that George had, you know, to be a businessman, you know, to really show, you know, from the bottom to the top, now I'm here, you know, and that was dope to see their transition from All in the Family to get launching out on their own show and to really show a Black power couple, really being able to, you know, move up out of the hood, but still be community oriented because the dry cleaners were still in the hood, you know, so that was good to see. And then my other one that I like was What's Happening. Roger, Rerun. Mama, Dwayne,
Hey.
all those characters, a single black mother raising a son and a daughter, showing those cats with that friendship that they had from school and that they maintained, and again, that's where Martin got his launch from.
Yeah, he did.
Was from when it rebooted.
What's happening now?
Yeah, so Martin is my my honorable mention, and I mean my top scene with them was the New Jack City scene. The New Jack City scene with the fake rock, with the fake Doberman. Yo, I mean that whole scene just because somebody stole his CD player.
Yep.
So that's my top 3 in an honorable, since y'all throwing honorable mentions out.
I got a quick question since we touched on kind of the same show. I got 2 questions. Who was on the first season of A Different World? Who was the very first face you seen on the screen?
What's this? A quiz? Trivia?
Little trivia.
Yo, I don't.
Felicia Rashad. I don't know.
Debbie Allen.
Dwayne Wayne.
Okay.
Glasses.
Okay.
Very, very first face.
Okay.
Then what was the very last face you seen on the last episode?
Whitney.
I think it was Ron.
Dwayne Wayne?
Nope. KD get it. It was Ron.
Really?
It was Ron.
Okay.
Yeah. They left for Japan, and Ron was
Japan.
He was still in the spot. I think him and Freddie had a relationship when the show ended.
Yes.
Him and Freddie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was a touching moment in sitcom history.
The good old days, man. The good old days, brother.
Yes, sir. So those are some sitcoms, man. We bring back some nice sitcoms that we've watched, man. Welcome, fellas. Welcome, everybody that is joining us to Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas. Welcome. We are back for season 2. We took a little break at the end of July. And thanks everybody for joining us. Big Nick, my man, Nikki, Sean, Dre Sproul was good.
Throw them comments up.
I was putting them up, man. I was putting them up.
Nikki.
Everybody, thanks for joining us on Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas, where we touch on national and local news, trending topics, current events, culturally relevant topics, and we had some core conversation. We want to thank everybody for joining us on Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas, where we just come in and just share our thoughts, our ideas, and everybody just coming back. We appreciate you so much. Today, we are having a core conversation about determining your worth, revenue versus relationships. So if you can, share this podcast, share this conversation, share this show with everybody on your social media page. You can also reach us on and connect with us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Radio, Anchor FM, and all streaming services. So what's going on, man? Everybody good?
Chilling.
All is well, man. All is well.
Like a villain.
Yeah.
We back, man. It's good to be back. It is so good to be back and have these conversations with the fellas. Let's get into it. Determining your worth, revenue versus relationship. KD, if you can, man, I want you to break this down, and the reason why this is such an important topic, such a topic that can be discussed, peeled back and just talked about. What's going on, Tawanda?
Tawanda Fussell. Yeah, man. So this whole worth, your value, it kind of hit me when I kept hearing the phrase, "What are you bringing to the table?" I've been hearing that a lot lately. I've been hearing that being chopped up on a lot of different platforms. What are you bringing to the table? And some people find that question insulting, and some people feel that it is something that you should ask. But when I was thinking about that, I was just thinking about what different characteristics or qualities or things, internal or external, really formulate or develop our worth, either in personal relationships or our professional status. How do we determine what our value is, in every facet of our life, from family, because we all have some type of role in family, on our job, in the things that we volunteer in, you know, whatever it is, we have some form of value that we bring. And my question was, you know, where do you find that value? What do you think, as far as the person you are, the human being that you are, what facet of you, what quality of you do you feel like has the highest value that you put more of an emphasis on? Or are there some things that you feel like my emphasis is not on that? That's really not what uh, I really feel like is something that pertains to my worth or my value. So, you know, I just, you know, it came up when it was like, you know, what are you bringing to the table? Really determining what your worth is, your self-worth, not really how people perceive you, because that's a whole different argument and debate that we could have, but really how you feel. I mean, we all at a certain age now
Right.
where we know what we bring to every area of our life that we are involved in. So, you know,
You
let's
know,
chop it up and see what it is that
when you say
determines your worth.
when you say we're all at a certain age, you know, we didn't use that in our teenage years. When we say we all at a certain age, you age us
This
right.
is no, I'm not making you old. We're at a level of maturity now
Absolutely.
that
Man, you better embrace that
we can
age.
really point to where our value lies, either internal or external. So, what y'all got on this?
OG Cuddy.
Talk to me.
Oh
Talk to me.
man.
Hey, let's
You
give
want-
Shabub a shout out first, man. Thanks, Shabub.
Yo, is
Shabub,
that
Wow.
Shabub?
our first
Wow.
episode.
Yo, that's my
Shabub.
dude. I seen Shabub. Let me just say this.
Yo, I ain't seen that boy in a
Yo, hold
while.
on real quick.
No.
I gotta give Shabub
Man.
this shout out. I was about to get my hair cut real quick, and I ran into Shabub. He pulled on the side of me, and we got out and we embraced one another. I haven't seen him in years. He saw my kids, man.
Uh-huh.
He pulled out a couple dollars and said, "Yo, what's up, nephew? This is for you." Shabub, much love to you, baby.
Man,
So,
that's what's up.
that's what's up, Shabub. Yo, Shabub, thanks for tuning in and checking us out, brother, man. We appreciate you, man. Go way back with you, brother.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
When we think about determining self-worth, you know, I you know, the first thing I think about is looking at ourselves, you know. So
Mhm.
you know, we always talk about, you know, looking at yourselves and what do you see in the mirror, and the first thing you often see is what the physical is, what the
Right.
appearance is. So you know, when you think about determining, you know, your self-worth when it comes to appearance, you know, I wonder if everyone's is different. You know, we have conversations about um, different careers, different drives, different motivations, and
Mhm.
your whatever you value. Sometimes I think your stands out. You know, I often, you know, I was reading one time and it says whatever you spend your money on most is that which you value. You
Mhm.
know, and I know a lot of people, you know, and sometimes I got caught up into it where I was spending money on clothes and making sure I looked right and I was, you know, in tip top shape and, you know, as much as possible. So does your appearance, you know, what does that bring to your self-worth and your value?
Um, I know. I mean, I'm kind of like you was. Like there was a time where yes, I did spend the money on clothing. You know, trying to get, you know, not that I was buying Gucci and Versace and all that other
Right,
stuff, but
right.
you know, I was buying some name brands. You know, and yeah, I put a lot of emphasis on the stuff that I wore, but it kind of faded away. It was like to me, it wasn't as important anymore.
Mhm.
You know, I'm not because I'm to this point right now. I don't need a pair, you know, 150 $200 sneakers. You know, I'm trying to get stuff under $100. You know, I don't need all the name brand clothes. Nah, I just need something to put on. It looks good. It looks, you know, it looks decent. It doesn't make me look like a clown when I walk out the door.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, as far as appearance goes, my emphasis isn't what it was when I was a little younger, but at least it does hold a factor, but
Yeah, yeah.
not as important anymore.
I think for me, I wonder, like, I think mine changed over the years. my emphasis and the value on appearance has changed over the years. Not so much as the clothes and the material, but in terms of what I do with my body. In terms of trying to get my cardio in terms of the physical, still trying to strengthen my muscles, and what as much as possible when I'm trying to eat. I remember in elementary school they used to say you are what you eat. And it still stands true. And so, in terms of that physical aspect of it, I do try to make that very, very important and much of a priority. And when it comes to my worth, because I feel like I'm worth it. Like I feel like I'm not worth eating, something that's going to tear me up on the inside, and I'm struggling for like 2 months. I ain't tell you. I think I told Katie I had some ice cream, right? I had some ice cream, I think early August, and it wasn't the ice cream I was supposed to eat. I was struggling, bro, for like 4 weeks.
What?
My stomach wearing me out. Yes, for about 4 weeks. I just can't digest dairy like that. So, would you say it?
Lactose tolerant?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So it's trying to balance that, do it, but I know daggone well, I know better than that. So, did I value that ice cream?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I definitely got to be mindful of that. Carrie says, as long as the shoes are comfortable and cute, if you feel good on the inside.
I know that's right, Carrie. I know that's right. That's right.
For me, man, I have to say that appearance does play a significant role for me. And I think that has a lot to do with the way I was, my upbringing. Like I looked up to my grandfather, my mom's dad, and he was sharp, man, well dressed, well groomed, always smelled good. And back then, like my grandmother, my mom, and my aunt, they were into ironing. And I mean, ironing with the starch and all that good stuff, man. So growing up, man, I don't care if I had some hand-me-downs, man. My mom made sure that crease was down the middle of those pants.
Yes.
And if my shirt, even if it didn't have buttons or wasn't a button down, it was iron, and there was a crease coming down the side. But I don't think that appearance is end all be all, but I think that it can also be an influencer on how you actually feel about yourself.
Confidence booster.
Yeah, and how others view you. Not that really matters, but I'll give you a quick example, man. Like every day, man, I'm going to work, man. I might have on, some slacks, loafer, shirt. Sometimes I might rock a shirt and a tie, but if I got to do a presentation like pre-COVID, I might rock a suit. It gives me a different feel of what I'm going to do that day. But if it's jeans and sneakers, I might be a little bit more laid back where I don't feel as stuffy. You know what I mean? And y'all gonna get a kick out of this one. But in the wintertime, man, if I'm rocking some jeans, a hoodie, and some Timbs, that changes like my facial expression, man. And it might even change my walk, man. You know what I'm saying?
Clothes maketh the man.
You feeling hardcore, you feeling gangster with your Timbs and your hoodie.
Boy. What you got for us?
So I do believe in the old adage, dress for success, and I grew up with that same routine and that same pattern that EB talked about. When I look at a lot of younger pictures of me and my brother, my mom was a single mom. She always had us suited and booted. I mean, there wasn't a time in a picture that I never saw myself without a suit on, even as a young dude, like my son's age, 9 or younger, and that always kind of just resonated with me to, there is an emphasis on your outer, your appearance. You can't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
But it's one thing about having substance, but also how you present yourself. You know, I feel good when my head is nice and smooth and my beard is shaped up. I feel good about myself. Sometimes when I feel my head in the morning and I got a rush and I'm like, oh man, I look a mess and I need to shave this. It kind of plays a part a little bit in my affect and my mood. Rather than if I'm well shaven, I go to that ironing board, like EB said, with the starch. I don't put the crease in it no more, but I make sure the wrinkles is out. So for me, an emphasis is on how I present myself because I got a clientele, that I go to. I got professional people that I got to talk with. So, I can't always go in my sweats. Sometimes I can go in a pair of clean jeans, but a nice shirt. But as long as it looks presentable, you don't want to leave the house. One thing I always heard was never go out of the house with a busted pair of drawers on, because you don't know what kind of accident will happen in the course of the day that might cause for your pants to be torn off of you, and everybody see your dirty drawers and your holy underwear. All right. So, I think it is an emphasis on how you present yourself. Presentation plays a lot.
Right.
When you get a plate of food, it might be something that you desire, but if it doesn't look right, if it's not presented in a certain way, who can eat it? Who can digest it? But again, it may be 25% or 20% of the totality of the person that you are. But again, I feel like, I get mad sometimes, when I go to some court hearings and I see the young ladies with the bonnets on their head in court, the pajama pants on. I see the fellas with a white tee and some sweats on. You cannot present yourself in a court of law, looking as if you want to be credible.
Right.
When you got everything stacked against you. If it's one thing that you can have control of, it is how you present yourself. And that's not all about appearance. It's also about how we effectively communicate. Right. If you're always like, yo, what's up, your honor? What's going on? How, yeah, I was chilling. If you can't effectively communicate, your stance or your position, to get your point across, that's a part of appearance too. How you can effectively communicate, to other people.
Doesn't that pose like a question?
All of that plays, I think, a major part in how I feel about myself. I feel good when I put on a nice, clean outfit that is well tailored. I feel good. I feel valuable, but that's not where it stops at. But that is a large portion of how you present yourself to the public.
So doesn't that to me, from hearing all and what everybody is saying, it's like we demand that respect. That appearance, how we look demands respect, and it is kind of like judging the book by its cover, because like Katie's saying, you go to a courtroom, you don't look, you got a wife beater on and some sweats, and you got a bonnet and them eyelashes. You don't gain respect that way. They don't look at you in a respectful way. So I guess that's kind of like more what we're getting at with the appearance thing.
You remember Deion Sanders, man? I never forget his saying. His saying stood with me for so long. He said, "If you look good, you feel good, and if you feel good, you play good."
Right.
And like your play, the thing about that, that just extends past football or baseball, whatever he did. But for me, it's whatever your play is, whether it's in the courtroom, whether it's in whatever you're doing. What I'm saying, in a classroom. Whatever it is that you're doing, if you look good, you're gonna feel good.
You're going,
step out. You in the mirror, you making sure you look good because you want to feel good and you want to play good. I want to read Gray's.
But I know before you read that, sometimes if your mood and your mental health ain't right, you don't have the self-care, the habits of having good self-care like you should. Your hygiene, your grooming. You don't care about those things because you don't really feel good about who you are. Just like you gave that point about Deion. You know, if a person really doesn't feel good about themselves, they will really not take the time to do the little things, just the grooming habits, getting up, brushing your teeth, getting a shower in the morning. A lot of people don't do those things that's really necessary. You know, that goes into appearance, you know, your hygiene. You know, do you go to your annual dental checkup? And you know, so you know, those little things, because you know, are important as well, because that's a telltale sign of some type of mood disorder or mental health. If a person really lacks the self-care, you know, and I never, you know, me and you are kind of big on, you know, exercise and eating differently and things like that.
Me too,
You know,
man.
that's an appearance as well. You know, it's not to have a flashy body, but it's really to extend our longevity here on earth.
That's
You know,
important.
I want to be able to give, you know, to see my sons get married. I want to be able to see grandchildren. So the emphasis on me working out is not to be flashy or to impress somebody with my appearance. It's so that I can have the longevity that I need to still be here and not be a burden in my older years, you know, on my sons to take care of me. I don't know what lies down, you know, what lies down the road, but what I can do right now to maybe alter the course of those things, I'm going to put the work in. Go ahead.
I wanted to read Dre Sproul's comment. Appreciate you, Dre, for checking in with us, man. My self-worth is priceless. The positive energy inside me makes me practice positive progress. Material things, money, and this physical form will go away, but that energy that you possess will live forever. Hey, Dre, appreciate you, bro.
Hey, Dre, well said, man. Good stuff.
Definitely well said, man.
That was
Definitely
dope.
well said.
That was dope.
So how does that, you know, when we talk about our worth, you know, when we talk about our determining our worth, we touched on appearance, you know, what about determining it when it comes to our income? You know, as men, you know, I think we learn this thing as boys, you know, where it's a somehow, how do we measure up? How do we measure up, you know, on the basketball court? How do we measure up on? What's my mom calling me? How do we measure up?
Hey, mama.
I'm like, yo, I thought it was one of y'all fault. How we measure up on the basketball court, on the football field, you know, when it comes on the track field, in the classroom, you know, and it transitions, I think, for us, you know, as we get older, in terms of how you measure up, or what is your self-worth when it comes to income. What's your thoughts?
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's important. I think it's important as far as what your income is at this point in time. I read a survey, a study about our age group, and at our age where we are right now, the study says that this is the highest earning time frame that you're going to have in your life at this age, at this stage. This is the prime, or the most valuable you will be as in terms of what your income is. It almost seems like at this point is where you should be making your most money at this age and at this stage of our life, unless there's some other stream of revenue or some other stream of income that you're able to tap into. But really, with the career that you have put in about 15 or 16 years in, right now is what your highest earning value is. And that spoke volumes to me, because, you know, while I thank God that I earn a decent income, I want to earn more.
Right.
You know, and that's not out of greed, that's not out of lust or anything like that. But again, my achievements, my bachelor's, my master's, my experience, my certifications, I feel as though I'm worth more than what I'm making than what I'm making right now. But if that's the cap for me, where what I'm doing in this current career, that means that I need to hustle a little bit harder to move in a different area, to open up another door that can present me as being more valuable. So, you know, that spoke volumes to me about this stage and this age of our life being at the point of this your highest earning value is as far as your career is concerned?
Yeah.
Mm.
Good
Well, I
point.
mean, as far as money with me, it's not as important. Um, I mean, yeah, I'm just like with KD. I make a good living, but yeah, I know I want more. But hey, it is what it is.
Right.
It's just so happens that I'm union, so even a kid at 26 years old, just getting out of the our apprenticeship, he makes what I make. So it is that as far as the money is not very important to me as far as making my worth, because you know it I'm just more happy of being what I am. I really don't think I would want any other profession
Right. Right.
than being an electrician and working in the construction field and just making what I make. I just don't. To me, the money isn't as important because you can always just like you can always find something to make yourself happy. It's not to me. It's just not money. Money isn't as important.
Hey,
Gotcha.
E, let me throw this in there real fast.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's an emotional um, factor that plays a part of when we're talking about determining your worth. Do you feel like there's an emotional connection to your income, individually? Like I may not, compare, or I may not make what, someone else makes that's of my age, or that has the same level of education, that has the same level of certifications, that I have. Do you feel like there's an emotional attachment that can put someone in a state that cause them to not feel as worthy or as valued as someone that is in a good position?
Well, what I've learned that you're always going to want more. Growing up, man, I had a conception, man, that my mindset was, okay, I need to really get this money. I need to chase this paper. But then again, I think that, I mismanaged, let's say 20 years ago, I mismanaged, my funds. It was just like, okay, hey, I'm working, I'm getting paid, I'm buying clothes, I'm having fun. I would say it wasn't until the past 10 years ago, man, until I was to the point where it was like, you know what? I started really, really crunching the numbers, man, and having a two family income, man, really, really helped me out. So I would
Mm.
say that the income does play a part, but it was a lesson learned. It's not something that I really cherished and I really, really strive to really, really hone in on until it became two family, where it was like it wasn't about me anymore. It wasn't about
Mm.
me myself, just living, going out,
Yeah.
hanging out. Now it's like, okay, you got a family now. You got to prepare for the
Yeah.
future. So I think that's
Right.
where I am at this
Right.
maturity
Mm.
level, as KD put it, this maturity level.
Yeah, yeah. And E, I agree with you strongly when, at a young age we lived for self,
Hmm.
but now we live for others. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? And I
yes,
think we recognize that now when you have multiple people that are dependent upon you,
yes.
and what you bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
and for me, yes, income is important because I want to be able to provide for my family,
Hmm.
and be able to have a safety net in order, if certain things come up that need to be taken care of financially. You got to always be forward thinking in that capacity. And
Hmm.
then you got to think about the future.
Yeah.
Sons going to college, private
Hmm.
school, what other trade schools. These things cost money, especially
Yes.
when you have more than just yourself involved. You know what I'm saying? I always heard how legacy was kind of attached to wealth. These billionaires, they really don't have the same concerns as we do
Right.
because
Right.
they're set and stable financially.
Right.
Hmm.
For us, you miss one or two checks, we might be homeless. You know what I'm saying? We're no different than the homeless person on by Dunkin' Donuts out there on Broadway. If we miss one or two checks, a lot of things can be taken away from us in that instant. And that's why I saw one of the brothers put up there, you got to be able to hustle. And it don't mean illegal, but you got to be able to have an additional stream of revenue so that you can stash and have a safety net in and with in and when and if things do show, rear themselves. But again, I think, yeah, we gotta be more financially literate. We gotta be more financially responsible, and we gotta teach the same principles to our children as well.
Yep.
Yeah, there it is right there. Dominique McKinney.
Big man.
Something that they don't teach us in school.
Yeah, we got to break that cycle of not learning financial responsibility as kids, because that's big in our community that we weren't really taught that.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Gee.
I also think attaching that to value, and worth, being able to, I remember, working with some youth, and they struggled with, the financial aspect of putting some things together, and it actually decreased how they viewed themselves, comparing to other people, when they going out and doing certain things, it didn't put them in the best position to succeed because of how they viewed themselves. Katie, can you read Kim's comment, please?
My mother was a human resource professional. There's nothing else to say about how I was raised when it came to how I dressed when I was younger. That has now carried over into my professional life and my life all around. How you present yourself is very important. Girl, you just girl, you just read me. You just validated my point, girl. That's good stuff, man. Yeah, presentation matters.
Yeah,
presentation matters. And I know we dropping back to appearance, but just with appearance, one other last point is that it also depends on what venue is going on, because there's certain, there's a social, there's a professional, there's certain aspects or certain venues that you got to dress a certain way for, and that may be more acceptable. So, just to keep that in mind, right. But yeah, just with finances, we can't live above our means, and that's where I think a lot of our people fail, is that we try to keep up with other people,
right,
impress them, and we get into debt. So instead of focusing on what we're able to handle and manage, if it's on our own, if it's a two family. I mean, listen, if you on your own and you struggle, that's common with two parent families. Two parent families struggle as well. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about managing wisely, being responsible, right, and not living above that which you are able to afford.
Right. So how does who play a part on determining your worth?
EB can talk about that.
Yeah, how does
fraternity
the president
do a whole dissertation?
Nah, well, I'll keep it short, man. I think we all know some very high, powerful people within our circle and beyond. I will say that I truly, genuinely believe that saying, it's all about who you know.
Yes, amen. Really, amen, preacher.
I really genuinely believe that, man, because sometimes I even question that when I see people in certain places or different positions. I'm like, wow, how did he, or even how did she, how did she get that? But then again, it's not for me to judge, but it just goes back to the importance of who within this world today.
Yeah, it's all about who nepotism.
Yeah, it's crazy. Even in my profession, it that who stuff. I mean, like personally, I don't agree with it. I don't like it. Because in my opinion, it should be more on merit and not just because just because you may have grew up with the foreman, you go out drinking with the foreman, and I know on a lot of cases because you go out snorting with the foreman. You know what I mean? Because I run into that to where my talent shines, but because I'm not one of your cut buddies, things don't, the longevity doesn't hold. But hey, I'm a union man. And that's another reason why I don't hold the who high on my priority, because I have a trade. So it's basically I can go out on my own if need be, but I like to go out on merit myself, not the who thing. But I know there is, it can get you far, and if it can, and if you work it right, hey man, kudos to you.
Definitely.
I always like the fact that when I say Eric Burrell's name, when I name drop that,
stop, man, please.
I get some shine.
Stop, man.
I get some shine when I say Eric Burrell.
Stop,
when I go to a
stop.
school and I need some documentation or something for the job, I say Eric Burrell. I get a little bit of shine. I get a little bit more attention. I get a little bit more assistance, speedier, immediate when I say Eric Burrell. And listen, if Eric Burrell has the power and the influence, okay, and I'm just using you as an example, don't get shy on me. Well, if I use if Eric Burrell has power and influence, and he says, look, I know Kevin Riley. He would be good in that position. He would be good in that. I mean, that's my boy. I'm not going. Who would fault, one of our own to open doors for us? I know sometimes it seems unfair when other people have that at their advantage. But what if we had that same connection or that same influence to open doors for one another, where all I say is, Keith Hall, he would be suitable for that. And then he gets a call the next day and they're connecting with him. They might be passing over somebody, but I know that Keith Hall is competent. I know that Eric Burrell is influential and he has degrees and the experience. So if I mention their names and I'm using if they're using me as who to get ahead, why not use people that I know that can really create change in that capacity? So, it seems unfair, but if the shoe was on the other foot, would we respond the same as well?
Wow, that's a good point. Now, just to kind of piggyback off of that, you mentioned my name. Every time I mention Kevin Riley's name, man, people start giving me money, man. I'm just saying, brother.
You're a liar wonder.
Oh man. Oh, there's Lorraine.
But you know what? It goes into your profession too, because of course your profession. You guys, that who does play more of a factor than with construction.
Some good comments.
It's because with us, we're all supposed to be the same. We're all supposed to be able to perform the job the same way. So
there's my man Ron Deasy. Ron Deasy's in the house.
Put that up there, man.
Keith, your mic's on mute.
No, I was
waiting for comments up there.
I was waiting for you to read Ron Deasy's comments, man.
That's my barber, everybody. Ron Deasy.
Okay.
Ron says,
he keeps presentable. He keeps
are not the only ones to benefit from your talents. Make sure you also capitalize on what gifts you have.
Cool.
Yeah. That's good stuff, Ron Deasy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lorraine says, that's why it's so important to open doors for our own.
Here we go.
We are annoyed when folks call on us for our influence.
Hey, Lorraine.
What's up, Lorraine? Thanks for watching. But I wholeheartedly agree that it's important that, if I see someone that doesn't look like us and someone that does look like us with the same type of talent, I don't see a problem with nepotism. I certainly don't see a problem with nepotism, and because it's been used against us for such a long time,
Yeah, yeah,
and so I certainly don't see a problem with, looking out for our own. I don't think we do enough of it. Um, but we certainly had those type of conversations for such a long time when it comes to us. And speaking of Ron Deasy, what you do for a living, I think plays a big part on your worth and your value and how you value yourself. Some people put more value in their career, their profession than others. Ward has a tremendous amount of value in his career,
Right.
and I know some people, they want to get out of that career. Some people put a huge amount of value in my career. I know for me, I'm ready to, transition, in some sort of way. So how does that play a part in determining your worth? And, we're going to still try to stay on determining your worth.
Well, I value my job tremendously because it's not only is just something I enjoy doing, but I enjoy the actual outcome of it. Because if it wasn't for people like me, you know, we wouldn't have lights and power. We couldn't turn on,
Right.
the lights and come out of the darkness and be on this podcast at this time, things like that. So, of course, of what I do, for a living is really important, and not and it goes even beyond just my job. It goes into the fact of what I can give back to, my community, especially going back to Camden High, rebuilding, our old alma mater to have, for the newer generation, and also giving of my time to the children on the wrestling team to further, express my joy for the sport, to let to teach the young ones coming up, to let to make them try even make them better than what I was, and even better than the ones that came after me and before me. It's like I just feel like giving back to the community is more of my self-value and more my worth. Keith went to the dark side
Did you
again.
shut his electric off, man?
Keith went to the dark side for a minute.
Shut his electric off, man.
Y'all crazy, man.
So what we talking about? How our career being something that we that makes us feel valued. I put 4 years in at Stockton University and went and did 2 years for my master's degree. I'm 17 years gainfully employed because of the time that I put in, my study habits, the discipline that it takes to go to college and to be indoctrinated in order to get that degree and that master's degree. Heck yeah, I feel very valuable with the employment. Now, does it always treat me well? Are there days where I feel like I need something else? Yeah, sure there are. I mean, each and every one of us, we can't say that there's been days where we're like exhausted and like, man, I need to be doing something else. But I'm thankful for the time that I put in to get to the point where I am now, because there's not a lot that are in my profession that are still doing what I do, being a Black man from Camden and being as educated as we are, and still serving the community. I serve the community through my daytime job and also with my outreach program and my ministry at the church. So, I'm thankful for those two facets. But yeah, it makes me feel good about myself to be able to, daytime and on my own time, to be able to have some type of form of give back. I remember I saw a post from Tawanda Jones, Wawa Melanin Marketplace, and she said that if you're not doing any give back, you're really not doing anything. That you should feel like, other than being paid to make an impact on somebody's life, if you always feel like I got to get a check to speak to these kids, or I got to get a check in order to do something, how much am I going to get? If you always feel like, I got to receive payment for my service, then you're really not doing it out of an authentic or genuine heart that wants to serve other people. You know what I'm saying? And if you're always looking for a check, that means that, you're not really committed or dedicated to really making an impact on somebody's life, because that's where you really receive and feel the most valued, when you do something on your own terms, free of charge, and you see a positive outcome in someone's life. So it takes those ministry type activities or those outreach type activities to make an impact on someone's life so that they can remember you as part of your legacy. And that's the most valuable component that you do have once you leave this world.
Yeah.
That's a good point, KD. To your point, man, I've been in education for the past 18 years, and I am actually a licensed realtor as well. And KD, you mentioned a very important key component, man. You said helping others, having an important having an important piece in someone's life. And I think that once you could try to help someone and make sure that they're good, whether it's teaching them something, being a listening ear, it doesn't necessarily have to be, something that you're giving that person, monetary, you know what I mean? It could be something that, they've heard you say, that had an impact on their life later on down the line. So I think it resonates with me, man, that once you are able to have an influence on somebody, and then, they continue to persevere, man, and flourish off of something that you may have said, done, or taught them.
For me, when it comes to what I do for a living, I think it's not just solely the 8 to 5 or 8 to 4, 9 to 5 that I have. It's the helping people. I think where it brings me value. It adds value to who I am as a person. To see a transition. I'm big on transition, and I'm big on seeing someone in one place and being able to watch them, whether they take one step forward and 2 steps back, but being able to watch them progress in whatever state that they're in. Whether they're 6, 7 years old to 60 something years old, just that progression. It brings me value. It knows that what I have is worth sharing with others, and being able to see that progression. I think it's immeasurable for me, for so long, just watching guys, just move, and even just simply just getting a job. It's several guys I've helped, in the past, and I don't talk about it much, but just young men, man, just watching these guys just get a job and their first check, that joy on their face for me is worth it like crazy, just to see their joy and opening up a bank account and just all that, man. I think is for me, it just brings so much, and reminds me, of my worth and what I bring to the table. That goes right back to what KD said in the beginning, and what the conversation started from is, what do you bring to the table? So I think that part for me, when you talk about what do you do for a living, it's the helping others, and still being able to make a career out of it, and put a roof over your head, but just really just watching other people progress in the state that they're in, getting from one part to another part, whether it's 1 step, 2 step, slow progress, fast progress. I think is dope for me, and it brings so much worth to, reminds me of my value and what I bring to the table.
Yeah, real quick. I just want to put a little story on that. Like when I went back to the Bill came to high, like a lot of the guys was asking, like, why are you so passionate about this? I'm like, cuz man, you just don't understand what Cam to High meant to me, meant to the community. So, as we go along, some of the guys, some of our other electricians, they was like, yo, some guys were walking past and they were like, telling me thank you for rebuilding my school and this and that. And then it gave them some self-worth of what they were doing. And I'm like, okay, now you know the feeling of giving back to the community. That's, they never had that. They didn't know what I was talking about. And then they actually got to see what I was talking about.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, EB and Keith, y'all work with y'all work in the community. Sometimes I get mad at the athletes. 3 years, $300 million. 4 years, $500 million. These athletes, these professional sport, do they really make the impact on people's lives like we do?
I think I will say this. I think they do more often than we know. I think they do more often than we know. And although it's not recorded, although cameras aren't there, I think they do. I was watching, shout out to my Cowboys. I was watching Hard Knocks. I was watching, and just the small impact that players make, and it's not even at universities or these big programs or these big schools, just at a program, taking sneakers and, doing different things, man, that adds it. I don't know. I never personally want to put a value on what someone else is doing because they make so much, and how much they have. But I think, whatever they do, if you put it back on us, I think we can all do more. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we can all do more, but I do think they do a lot more than what we give them credit for.
Now, some of the some of the bright things that these athletes do, it does get some shine. Now let's take a look at those loser Cowboys. What's up, Kim? Now let's take a look at LeBron James. Now, because of who he is, that does get publicized. Now, LeBron, I forgot how many millions he put into that school, but that does go notice that he is doing stuff for the community.
Right.
Let's take a look at former Eagles great Malcolm Jenkins. Malcolm Jenkins, he did a lot, in this community.
Social justice and activism, yeah.
You got it. So some of them, I guess, depending on who the athlete is, some of them will, get the shine. For
put that Jackson comment up there.
Right.
Jackson Shee. Yeah, that sickens me. I love sports, but never will I believe an athlete should make more than a person impacting a life daily. Never. Wow. I like 85 to 90% agree with you. I believe that teachers, mentors, youth advocates, therapists, those people that's in the trenches, man, I'm not saying we need to have a 3-year, $300 million contract, but, a lot of us are saving lives, people that have been suicidal. We are talking them off of a cliff almost every day. All right. Families that are starving and destitute, we're doing that every day, and while athletes have some good intentions, some good publicity to the community, to the hood, a lot of people, it's almost holidays. So what you're going to see? You're going to see turkey drives by every athlete. Right. Amen, somebody. And then you're going to see a Christmas drive by every athlete. All right. And again, those things are once a year. I would like to really see if you have that type of power, influence, and wealth, do like a LeBron and establish something that can really impact the community on a daily basis.
Right.
I hate to say it like this, but I think a lot of times, a lot of these athletes, they do it just for tax purposes. You know what I mean? So now, like somebody like LeBron, you building a school. I mean, you got to give him his props on that. But I'm like, yeah, like KD said, with these once a year functions, you'll see him, giving out turkeys at Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever. Yeah, it's tax purposes. They just doing it for a write off.
I'm with y'all. I think I'm gonna go a different route. I think even if they do it for a write off, whatever the reason, someone is being helped.
That's true.
Somebody's getting a pair of sneaks put on their shoes that they didn't have. Someone is getting a book, that may be fresh and new versus a book that's written over in pages or computer.
Missing.
You know what I'm saying? That's that's new and functioning.
Right.
I totally agree with y'all, or in somewhat. I will go back to Kevin's point. I think it goes back to value and what's valued when it comes to the people that's paying these athletes. And not to shift the conversation, but if we have a teacher that we know should, or educators, period, that we know should be making a lot of money, that's where that's their it's the owners that's paying the players. They have the value in these players. They value these players. They value the athletes a lot more than people like us. And I think it says a lot about what America values. You know what I'm saying? It's not the teachers, it's not the players. I think it's the owners and what America values, and what America think is the priority. And when we think about LeBron and let's talk about achievements. What is our worth when it comes to achievements, and do we put value in those achievements?
Yeah, I do. I mean, even though it's not like I don't get like the glitz and glamour, I don't get an award, but whenever I'm at work and show my skill at work, and I get compliments from it, like, oh man, Henry, you do real good work. That's more, that to me, that's my achievement. I do value, people, complimenting on my craft.
Right. For me, I would have to say yes, as far as achievements are concerned, simply because it's like you achieved a personal goal that you set out to accomplish. Growing up, I was like, okay, I want to go to college. I accomplished that goal. Not that that's everything, but I think that once you set the bar and then you reach that level, you have a sense of comfort knowing that you were able to, overcome that obstacle that you thought may have been difficult, or something that someone else couldn't do. You know what I mean? So I do put emphasis on achievements, because that's the goal that I set, and I was able to accomplish it.
Yeah.
Drink some more water, E.
That crystal geyser. That crystal geyser, baby. Now I think that achievements are a great thing. Our accomplishments, our achievements that we made, if it's a success in a business area that we made, I think those things are good, and they add to our resume, not just our professional resume to a prospective employer, but to our overall personal resume of who we are as a human being. But do you only feel that your achievement is valuable when you can brag about it to somebody else? If you only feel that your achievement or your accomplishment makes you feel good when you can brag or boast about it, I think then it's misdirected and misguided, because it's not for that purpose. That achievement, that accomplishment, whatever type of success you might have had, is not for you to boast or brag about, but it's for you to open doors for yourself and to pull somebody else up. I just believe that everything that we achieve in this life is not for us. It's a selfish way to think. It's not for us. It should be for someone else, to open a door for your family, for your friends, for a stranger. Our achievements, our accolades, the applause that we receive, whatever like that, they're fine and they're dandy, but what are they doing for somebody else? My master's degree that's in a plaque and on the wall, it looks beautiful. I feel good about it, and I do talk about it, but it's in vain if I don't utilize it in a way that is going to be impactful in another arena, in some way, shape, or form to somebody else. And I feel like I'm moving in that direction, where I'm now utilizing a lot of the skills and the learning and the strategies and the methods and the things of that nature to really be able to open some doors, not just for myself to receive shine, but for other people to be helped and to benefit. So it's a beautiful thing to have and talk about. But if it's the only thing that makes you feel good that you achieved it, then it's empty and it's meaningless.
Right.
Yeah. No, I
And
agree.
sometimes you can open the door for others by sharing your story of how you got to where you are, by explaining to them some of the paths and the obstacles that they're going to have to overcome in order to get to that point as well. So I see your point on that one. Good stuff.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know,
good point.
being I don't think we were meant to be here alone anyway. And I think Kim mentioned earlier that it takes a village, and it takes someone to pull another person up, and whatever you have, to help your brother, help your sister out. I definitely, that's something that we need to do, something that we have to do when it comes to the achievements. Your achievements just isn't solely for you. Let's keep it moving, and let's get to this last one. I'm trying to remember. EB, you mentioned 10 years ago how you really started getting some things in order. I'm wondering, was that around the time Tina stepped in, what I'm saying, and started getting something, helping you get some things in order? So my question is, does being in a relationship, one of the topics that we have, does being in a relationship, does that add and bring more value to who you are?
Well, for me, I would have to say yes, simply because I think that, at that time, as I mentioned, I was just living freely, man, just having a good time, man. And then, after you tie that knot, and become one, then you kind of build upon, things together. So I think that did. My wife is an accountant, by the way. So that also helps me out because she likes to crunch the numbers. So, I found that I can save, like, how'd you do that, without even looking. So it did help me out. So I could say yes to that question, Keith.
Hey, one time I was talking to EB, I don't know when it was, over the last few years, and I think you was taking some lunch to work. You had packed a lunch or something to work.
Right.
Versus going out to eat, and that was a nice change.
Yeah, it was a nice change because I was going out to lunch every day. I was spending, I would say, probably $10 every day on a sandwich and going to Dunkin' Donuts or stuff. It was like,
you better pack a lunch.
It was like, try packing a lunch for 2 weeks, and honestly, I have to say, I saw a big difference.
Yeah. So it added value.
Added value, yeah.
Dope.
Yeah. I think in certain aspects of society, they view family, they put a high onus and value on family. You look at people that run for political office. I think one of the requirements is for you to be married with children. It's always you never really see a single individual run for a political office. I've never seen it. I've never seen a single president in my 48 years. But usually there is a husband and wife and children whenever there's some type of political or some office that serves the public. And I do believe that society does put value on the family. God instituted the family. In the beginning, God created man and woman. He told us to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. You know what I'm saying? So there is a value, a God ordained value on husband and wife and children that we are to train and to educate and to raise so that they might contribute to the world at large as well. So I believe that it's a value in society. It's a God ordained institution. And I believe it does open some doors for you when people can see that, oh, wow, they've been married for X amount of years. And wow, they show some real dedication and loyalty. And That's because that's hard work, maintaining a marriage, maintaining a family, so that is something that you can put on your pedigree, that you put in 2 decades. You got children in college, and you got to, these are things that, other people can talk about and share. These are commonalities that people have with one another about family life, soccer practices, football practices, things of that nature. And you start to network with people because of your commonalities with families. You know what I'm saying? You send your children to practice, cheerleading practice, and you link with other parents, and they might have some business opportunities. So, and through your family, you see other doors of opportunity being open. Just because I set my son to gym class, now I can send a resume to being adjunct professor somewhere. You know what I'm saying? These type of doors can be open because of the fact that you do have a stable, loving, and you present longevity with your family. You know what I'm saying? So it is not only does it make a man or woman in many ways feel fulfilled, because of the father and the mother calling and having children and being in a relationship. For some people, it makes them feel satisfied and fulfilled to be a father and a mother and a husband and a wife. But it also does have a side effect, a benefit of connecting and networking with other people, other couples, other persons that can open doors for you because they met you via family. So yeah, there is some value, and I can say I've experienced that as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Go ahead, Ward. Yeah, I saw
Well,
you.
well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the family that I have, and I value them. But as far as I'm concerned, to go, to being with the actual topic of, do I put value in being in a relationship?
Mm.
Um, I'm going to have to say no. I don't. I don't have to be in a relationship to feel valued. I value myself just as is. You know what I mean? And I hear, you always hear people say, they're in a relationship and they always tell their mate, "Oh, you complete me." I always disagree with that statement because no one completes you. They may compliment you, but no one completes you. You complete yourself, but you may have a compliment in your mate or your soul. You may have a soulmate or whatever type of relationship you're in. um as far as the value of a relationship really doesn't determine my value. Mute, you on mute? Keith, you on
So,
mute?
I think
There
it's
he is. There he
perception.
is. He's back.
Good. Now, I think it's perception too. The good thing about it is, how you see it. That Kevin's point, and Kevin, when you talk about never seeing any candidates single, I really started thinking about it, and you don't,
Oh, there was one
which one?
fantasy, but on a
Oh,
different world.
but even the show, one of your favorite shows that I still got to catch up on is The Shy. When the brother, they wanted him to look like he had a thorough marriage. And I forget his name, but I think that's the great.
Duda, you talking
Yeah,
about Duda?
yeah, dude.
Duda running for mayor in Chicago.
Now, hold on
Yeah,
now.
they look like he
Hold
He
wanted.
on.
was married to Candy Burris.
Yeah, I remember that one. he he wanted to make sure that they wanted to make sure that he looked like he was whole, because that's the perception. What Ward is saying for him, it doesn't matter what other people think. I make myself whole. I'm valuable without anyone else, and I think it has a lot to do with perception. And how you view things. You was going to say something?
No, I was agreeing.
Yes, you was going. No, I think it's dope, man. I think it's a really good topic when we talk about determining your worth and your value and how you value yourself. I wonder if and I wanted to ask you guys, if you take your job away, if you take your income away, if you take all the materialistic aspects away from you, are you able to still possibly write a letter to describe who you are? Taking away all of that
Yeah. Yeah.
materialistic
Yeah.
degrees, and
Definitely.
still be able to present your value,
Mm,
on a piece of paper or however you say it, are you still able to do that? And I think that's
yeah.
dope if you, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what's.
I think it's having, I think we all have standards.
Mhm,
Standards is really what makes you a valuable asset when
mhm,
you have standards.
mhm,
There are things that you're not going to tolerate, and there are things that you're doing, habits, better habits that we have in order to become better. You know
mhm,
what I'm saying? So I think standards, having good habits,
mhm,
having a strong work ethic, and being motivated and being disciplined. All of these qualities go into, you could take all of the other stuff away. But if you have many of those characteristics and qualities of having a good work ethic, being motivated, having standards about what you will accept and what you will not accept, these things help to really make you worth something. If you don't have standards, if your standards are very low, then the worst that you will feel about yourself, in relationships or in your professional life, because then you'll be just tolerating whatever anybody says to you, however anybody treats you in relationships or on your job. So you got to have standards, expectations for my living, and expectations for how I deal and interact with other people.
Mm.
was dope conversation, man. Dope conversation, man. Was I think one of the things for me, one of the takeaways for me, is it's the when we talk about the village, when we had this conversation, a takeaway for me, something that I'm gonna hold on to, village, and then that is
You froze up, Keith. He froze up on us.
did I?
Yeah.
I close up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So one of the takeaways for me is just simply just a reminder of the village, and I don't know if I shared it with y'all. Maybe a couple months ago. For some reason, I got several messages from some guys I used to mentor and their parents, and I'm talking about easily over 10 years ago. And these young men, man, are in their late 20s, early 30s. And the greatness that and the success that they got going on, for me was like freaking amazing. And I often, I'll get some text messages or some DMs, and like Ward is talking about that volunteer, and helping out. It's amazing how far that can go. So when the viewers were just chiming in when it comes to the you know helping that village, I think that's the takeaway from me to continue to, and how that does add value to who we got going on, what I got going on. I'm just ready
Jackson,
to
Yeah, I see.
hey Jackson,
yeah.
Jackson, go Eagles.
Sharon Lucky, I got nothing but
Don't
love.
worry, Keith. I'm right there with you, brother.
Hey Shakur, good win yesterday, Shakur.
Good win, EB. Good win.
Y'all
Good
crazy.
win.
Yo, any
32
takeaways y'all
to
got, man?
9. 32 to 6. 32 to 6.
32-6.
Yeah, baby.
Y'all
We'll
got
take
any
it.
takeaways, man?
Nah,
No,
Nah,
he said
no
it all.
nah.
Anyway.
Just put value in yourself. You really don't have to worry about what
Yeah, y'all
everybody else
crazy.
says.
Hey, we going to go into our first Ask the Professor of season 2. Let's do it.
Ask the Professor. The Professor.
Yo, here we are.
What up?
What's up? What's up? So I got a question out here. Ask to Mr. It says to Mr. Ask the Professor. It says that what is the best way to tell somebody that I have outgrown them? I'm in a relationship and it just appears that we do not have many mutual, I'm just trying to read this, many mutual ideas or many mutual, my goodness, this is a terrible, they kind of typed it wrong, but they in essence feel like they don't have a lot of mutual uh things that they are involved in, and she is feeling that she has outgrown the relationship. How what are the signs to begin to feel and understand that I have outgrown him, and how should I tell him that I have outgrown the relationship? All right. Y'all kind of get the meat of that.
What did she say about what are the signs though? What's the question about the signs?
What are the signs? What are the telltale signs
that she outgrowing?
That you'll be able to see symptoms of outgrowing a relationship, or that the relationship is nearing its end.
So that's a two-part question, right?
It is kind of a two-part question,
I got
because
you.
the last part is how do I tell them? So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, but one of the things that I was thinking about when we hear this outgrow one another, or outgrowing the relationship or the other person, it seems like you have been experiencing some form of personal growth in some facet of your life. Some personal growth. I don't know if it's on your job, or if it's if it's something on the side. You've experienced something from your reading or your additional learning, something that has really caught your attention and your interest, that you are now feeling more distant from the person that you're in a relationship with. So I don't necessarily agree that you've outgrown an individual, but you may be going in different directions at this time and phase of your life. All right. So there's a couple signs that you can look for. Sometimes the conversation just feels forced. When you're having conversation with one another and it doesn't feel natural, things that you used to talk about, you're not talking about them easy. Conversation is almost foreign for you now than it was in the beginning. So conversation, begin to look at how you talk to one another and the type of things you talk about, and see if the conversation is still exciting and interesting, or if it really is lackluster at this point. Also, sometimes it's just a fundamental shift in how your values or beliefs may have changed. There might be something in politics or in the worldview that uh, there has been a shift in what you believe about a certain topic, and the partner that you're in a relationship with has a strong opinion the other way. So sometimes it's just a fundamental shift in your beliefs and your values that also may be a telltale sign of the relationship coming to an end. The other thing is that you feel like that if you tell the person that I'm moving in a different direction, or I'm feeling distant, or I'm feeling that we just don't have too many things in common as we did before, you subconsciously don't want to tell the person because you're scared of how they might feel or how they might criticize you. All right. So again, these are just a few different telltale signs. And the last sign that you can look for is there more tension in a relationship than there has been before in the past. Just having regular talks, or just having time out with one another. Do you feel more tenseness, more tension? Is it forced? Being with the person, being around the person, having just conversation or regular quality time with the individual. Do you feel too much tension that you can actually cut with a butter knife? All right. So again, those are certain things that might not always be 100% in the direction of the relationship coming to an end, but it is something that you should take a close, hard look at. Now, my last point is, how do you tell somebody that you're moving in a different direction? All right. That's the worst thing that somebody would want to hear, that you've invested time, emotion, with that individual. And now the worst thing that you can tell them is that you're growing away from them, becoming distant from them, or you feel the relationship is coming to the end. You got to put yourself in that position. You got to have empathy. You got to talk to them in a sensitive manner, okay? Because this is a very sensitive topic. All right. You got to be able to not just send them a text message or an email or anything like that. This is something that you got to have a face-to-face conversation with. All right. The emphasis is on that you don't want a person to shut down on you. You don't want to leave a relationship in friction. So you got to really develop the time. You got to have the wisdom. And maybe for some people, this needs to be in a therapeutic environment. All right. Because you want to be able to be as gentle as you possibly can to let them know your feelings about the status of the relationship and how different the two of you have become during the course of time. So you got to put yourself in their position. How do you want to be talked to and let down when you feel like your partner has come to the end of a relationship with you? So that's my thoughts concerning outgrowing and also dealing with the person in a sensitive manner, because you never know, the person that you might be in a relationship with may have some mental health issues, that something like this could really push them to the edge to want to do or say something, if it's not done gentle and not done in consideration of a person's feelings as well. So I hope this helps.
Yeah, I thought that was the great mature way, to handle it. I wonder if if she just want to just be real and say, she having some more intellectual conversations with another guy. You know what I'm saying? And now, what I mean? They're like, just be real. You having another conversation with somebody else. The conversation has gotten boring at home. He's interesting, and you just want to move on and don't know how to say you want to move on. Girl, stop playing.
INF, you saying that there's a distraction is what you're saying.
There's a distraction right there. There's a distraction. The professor, he got to give us the academia when it comes to the profound answer. But girl, stop playing. And
but INF, what's more hurtful? If
What's
I
up?
just tell you, that our interests are no longer common at this point, is it more hurtful to say that, or is it more hurtful and damaging to say that I've taken interest in someone else?
I think telling the truth is more forthright. I think telling the truth is more forthright, and in all honesty, I'm with you with
So you don't think she's being honest?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking, but just really just being honest, and it's not really just about, it's not just about them and how you tell them, but it's being honest with yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's being honest with yourself about this is what's going on. We're not in the same space that we used to be, and you've tried and had many conversations about it. But you got to be real. You got to be honest. And I think sometimes it's your delivery, it's your approach. And I always say, you got to be intent driven. Like, what is your intent in this conversation? It's not really to lash out, but your intent is really to get out of this relationship. So just be intent driven and say, look, this is what it is. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt like hell. You know what I'm saying? It might even hurt her too. But at the same time, you living with this, this falsehood of just, look, hey, this thing ain't working. I've outgrown. Now, what does outgrowing look like? That is so broad. You know what I'm saying? To me, I feel like it's so broad, and like, just be detailed. We're not in the same space anymore. We've tried for years to really, get things going. You're here and I'm here. I'm not saying, and I think sometimes what people do is they'll say I outgrew that person, but they just went a different direction. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when people say I outgrew, and I'm not saying that she does. I know I was joking when I first came on, but They just went a different direction. It's their way to make them look like they grew and they gotten bigger. You know what I'm saying? Like they're in the same place. You know, and they very well be in the same place.
They could be.
They could be. And it definitely could be. But in that sometimes I think people just go in a different direction, and we have to respect that and just be real with it. Like, yo, this is really what it is. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I think you know, Kat says even in the outgrowing message,
right,
sometimes people have a tendency to belittle or demean the mate.
Right.
You know?
And that's why you got to be sensitive and gentle when you're delivering this kind of message, because you got to consider yourself. How do you want this message to come across to you? Right. You know, and your feelings surrounding it. So when you're delivering this message, you got to really put yourself, have a lot of empathy, and put yourself in that person's position, you know, and deal with it from that point. But again, like you said, you can't get around the message being hurtful in some way, shape, or form, but you got to give your due diligence to make it as digestible as you possibly can. And it probably won't come in one conversation.
I disagree.
That said, you got to be careful.
I disagree, because here's my thing. You always hear people talk about, I just want you to be honest. Be honest with me. But here's, most people can't take the truth. They can't take honesty. But be honest. Tell them, because even with, you know, you trying to sugarcoat it, you know, that can give them a different feeling of why things are being ended. No, just be honest. Just be brutally honest and say, look, you know, we're going in different directions right now. It feels like I'm growing, you're not, or vice versa, or however, what really is going on. Just tell them.
But that's the belittling thing that Kat was talking about.
How is that belittling them when you're saying,
when you're saying I'm growing, but you're not? You got to have a better way to give the message, because again,
saying that you're not growing.
It's going to make them feel less than, you know. It's got to be a message that, you know, not makes you to be the bigger person in this. All right. It's got to be given in a way that is mutually understood. And this might be the best course of action for both of us, not just for me, because I think that's a selfish delivery rather than thinking about the other person and not putting them down. But again, saying this is something mutual that we need to discuss and really think about, because it could be for the best for both of us, not just me. I think that's a selfish direction to go with to someone. You know, when you're saying I'm growing, you're not, you know, and that person is probably doing everything they can to kind of, I've been bettering myself. I've been, I'm not growing. I've been doing so many things differently.
But no, but even still,
but you haven't taken notice of that, because you've been so full of yourself that you haven't seen my contributions or my bettering of myself.
I think the intent, that's why I go back to intent. I think sometimes we have a confrontation or a conflict. I don't even want to say a confrontation and a conversation, and the intent gets lost in emotion. You know what I'm saying? So it's my emotion and my conversation and what I'm thinking and how I feel about you sitting on this couch for the last 2 months, not doing anything, is taking over what I really want to say. You know what I'm saying? And that compounded with my feelings and my emotions gets lost in translation in how I want to deliver this message. You know, so I think at times you really do have to know that this is my intentions, you know, and get away from the feeling and the emotion aspect. I think both of you bring up a great point, because that individual that you care about, that you love, after the relationship, they still have to live. So if you leave them with the truth, you know, versus, you know, a lie, and why I want this relationship to end, I think it's good for them to know, look, this is the truth, you know, about me, that this one person said, not saying that that's the truth, but that was their feeling. And that.
But remember, you're dealing with a person's heart. You got to handle it with care. You know, but you got to really take that into consideration.
Someone tell me like, Ward, I don't want to be with you no more because, you know, you gain too much weight, or you I don't like the way you do your hair anymore, or you can't fucking see. But
right.
I mean, I'd rather hear that than say, well, I just don't think we're meant for each other. No, just tell me the God's honest
But
truth. Let me
that's
know.
you. That's how you want it tailored to you, and that's probably
She
not
probably
how the
would
other
because she
person
knows you.
is going to receive it. That's probably not how you can give it to the other person. It's not a cookie cutter type of message.
The truth
It
shall
is
set
it's
you
got to
free.
be tailor made to that person. Just because
Don't
I
y'all
can
live by
receive it,
principles? The
just because
truth
I can
shall set
receive it
you
doesn't
free.
necessarily mean that the other person can receive it in the same manner that you're able to. Everybody has varying levels of how they can receive this type of very vital and critical message.
Yeah, you know what, Katie, you read that letter, and as you said, the letter was a little choppy. I'm wondering if there were like some details that maybe were left out to get a clearer picture of
their whole situation.
Yeah, usually, I mean, you're not gonna get the full details and ask the professor. I mean, we can come close to what we might speculate is going on, but I hope that our message to the young lady is helpful.
It is. You get both ends of the spectrum,
right.
When it comes to, ask the professor your question. We appreciate, you guys joining us tonight. Continue sending your messages to Kevin Kev, the professor, for Ask the Professor segment as he go through these questions. I know he's being hit with a lot of questions and he has to choose, which ones. Can we read Pastor BJ Connections before we end this thing? We give people enough credit. People can handle the truth. I gotta read. Can I say it in Pastor? I want to say it in Pastor's voice.
Go ahead.
No, we give people enough credit. People can.
I don't know what she sound like, but
I checked. Brenda has a good morning prayer and a good morning word that she has on her Facebook page. So I get a chance to check her out at times in the morning. And she says, we give people enough credit. People can handle the truth. People realize when a relationship has changed, whether or not they accept it or not. Truth and be honest is always the best. People can handle it. We want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Continue to check us out on all streaming platforms. Go to our YouTube page, go to our Facebook fan page, share our podcast with us. Go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, all streaming platforms. The fellas are back. Just our thoughts with the fellas for season 2. Next up in 2 weeks, we got Reverend Nikki Brown coming to hang out with us and have some good conversation with us, and talk to us about what's going on and some of the projects that she got going on. Thanks for coming out. Just our thoughts with the fellas. Peace.
Peace.